In the fall of 1983, MTV was in its heyday, and Pat Benatar had just released her smash hit single and video, Love is a Battlefield, which was played on heavy rotation and eventually reached number 5 on the Billboard 100. Then in late fall of the following year, Don Henley released his smash single, The Boys of Summer, which received heavy airplay as well on MTV and also happened to peak at the 5th position on Billboard. It was also around this time I had just developed my passion for wanting to play guitar and be a musician, and MTV was a big part of my life back then. Watching videos and listening to the radio were much more prominent activities for folks back in the early 80s, especially since the internet, social media, and cell phones and such did not exist at that time. So I was very familiar with both songs and enjoyed both of them, and I had never even thought about any similarities between the two songs, until very recently, when I happened to catch a snippet of this clip on Instagram.
Why Love is a Battlefield and The Boys of Summer from Don Henley have something in common.
Oh, I hope somebody out there can take those two songs and dissect them and show them how much alike they really are.
And by the way, this clip was posted on Instagram by Q1043 and JC on the Air, and I'll provide a link in the description.
Love is a Battlefield, 1983. Boys of Summer, 1984.
Aha.
And it sure sounds exactly the same. And I know who said they were going to steal it.
And that man being interviewed was Neil Giraldo, who is Pat Benatar's husband, producer, and played guitar in her band all throughout her whole career. So being musically minded, and considering myself a child of the 80s, I decided to take up the challenge of comparing these two songs. I want to let you know that I'm also taking up this challenge with slight trepidation, and this is because the only copyright strike I've ever received on this channel was from Don Henley and his music publisher UMPG, on my Hotel California guitar solo collaboration with guitarist Andrea Krakowska. So because of this, I'm going to be walking on eggshells, trying not to trigger any copyright infringement from Don Henley or his publisher. This means I will be using the smallest amount possible of original audio or video clips from The Boys of Summer. Most of my analysis will be done on my guitar for reference. So upon my detailed analysis of both songs, I've come to the conclusion that there are three main things that make these songs similar. The first and most important is the drumming on both tracks. Both songs utilize the Linndrum drum machine. The Linndrum was a drum machine designed by American engineer Roger Linn, manufactured by Linn Electronics between 1982 and 1985, and about 5,000 units were sold overall. The drums on Love is a Battlefield were programmed on the Linndrum by Pat Benatar's guitarist Neil Giraldo, who you saw in that previous clip. He also had this to say about the similarities between the drums on Love is a Battlefield and The Boys of Summer.
So there is a drum machine involved in this story, right? What is the drum machine?
Yeah, it's a Linndrum. Any drummer that tries to write it out or analyze it, they'll realize the kick drum changes its position. So yeah, I'm hoping somebody, some great musical
A and B,
person,
those
say,
two songs.
Yeah, put the tempo at it. Check out the parts. Check out the guitar parts. Check out the drum machine. Check out the feel. Check out how it goes.
Okay.
It's exactly the same.
I'll get into the drum analysis later in this video. But clearly, Neil makes it sound like the drums on Boys of Summer are pretty much a carbon copy of Love is a Battlefield, but we'll examine that in a bit. First, I wanted to address any other similarities between the two songs. Obviously, lyrically, they're completely different topics and ideas. Love is a Battlefield is about the difficulties and seemingly constant struggles in relationships, and The Boys of Summer reflects on lost love and regret that those times can never be recaptured. The other two similarities I've found are the tempo and the key of each song. The tempo could be considered an element of the drums, but I feel it's a separate factor. Love is a Battlefield has a tempo of 91 beats per minute, and The Boys of Summer's tempo is 88 beats per minute. So their tempos are actually very close, and both of them have an upbeat feel due to the nature of the kick drum and the snare drum arrangements. The final similarity, the key of each song, is oddly very close too. Love is a Battlefield is in the key of D minor, while The Boys of Summer is in the key of F sharp major. This reflects the song's happy tone in the chorus. But during the verses, The Boys of Summer reverts to its relative minor, which is D sharp minor. So really to me, these songs are just a half step off, even though Boys of Summer doesn't seem so as it has that positive sounding chorus. But Love is a Battlefield remains in the minor key for the entire song. I've looked at the melody and the chord progressions for each song, and I feel they're quite a bit different. I'll hum the words to the melody so this video doesn't get flagged. So I want to go ahead and grab my guitar so I can go through this stuff really quick for you guys. Okay, so Love is a Battlefield is in the key of D minor. So the verse starts in da na 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 D minor, then down to C, na, 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 na. B flat, da, na, na, na. G minor. The Boys of Summer is in D sharp minor, the relative minor, but it's in, so it's, hope that doesn't flag the video, but let's see. So the verse starts out. Instead of going down a full step down to C sharp, it goes to B. Then it goes up to C sharp. Then back down. So Boys of Summer uses these three chords in the verse, whereas Love is a Battlefield uses these three chords. So basically, relatively, it's using the same three chords, but on Henley's song, everything's shifted up a half step. But the arrangement of the chords is different. As I said, Battlefield goes here, here, here. Henley's goes. Okay, and then the difference also with Henley's song goes to the chorus. Gets the F sharp major. Then it goes to C sharp major. Then back to the B. So in comparison, Love is a Battlefield does not have the chorus stays in the minor key, stays in D minor the entire song. So the refrain is we are young. C, then A minor. Then it repeats that all over. Then really the words Love is a Battlefield and the chorus goes to the B flat. Love is a battlefield. So you can see these songs are quite a bit different. The keys are very close, but the chord progressions are quite a bit different, and Henley's song goes to the F sharp major for the chorus, which makes it completely different. So that part of it is pretty convincingly not similar, even though, like I said, the keys are close. But aside from that, I don't think there's much of a case there. So now we'll go back to the drum analysis, which is the main focus of this video. Fortunately, I found the isolated drum tracks for both songs on YouTube, so I will be relying heavily on those to make the comparisons. I will include those video links in the description. So first, before we get into the isolated drum tracks on each song, I found this great video on YouTube that goes into detail on the Linndrum and specifically talks about its use in detail on Love is a Battlefield. So yeah, this video is posted on YouTube by Controlled Voltage Sound Labs, and it goes into all the Linndrum programming on Love is a Battlefield. So anyway, let's check it out.
Love is a Battlefield features the stock Linndrum kick, snare, hat, kabasa, and toms.
He starts programming the song in Love is a Battlefield. Starts layering the snare on. So that beat, the way that sounds right there, almost reminds me more of Billy Don't You Lose That Number from Phil Collins, which I think was out in 85 or 86, so right around that time. So in a way, it kind of reminds me more of Phil Collins' song than Don Henley's song. I'll also provide a link in the description for that Linndrum video if you guys want to check it out some more. Okay, so we got the Love is a Battlefield on top and the Boys of Summer on the bottom. And start that off. Love is a Battlefield. So the elements, it sounds like it has the kick, the snare, a hi-hat, and then all these toms going crazy. It kind of reminds me of that Miami Vice theme song, if you guys even remember that. That was 1985, that show. Boys of Summer. It has the like a hi-hat and a rim shot sound. And then it does a little pickup here. So it's got that real obvious the hand claps, and then it's got like a tambourine coming in there with the snare and the kick. So far they sound quite a bit different, and that's the lead in of the song, and then it picks up around here, I think. So that's the part I think that was supposedly supposed to sound a lot like Love is a Battlefield when everything kicks in. Get that beat going. And then Love is a Battlefield. Oops. Yeah, so if you had asked me to identify these two songs from the isolated drum tracks, I think I could do it very easily, but that's just me. Yeah, to me they sound quite a bit different. I don't really still even see the similarities between them, so aside from those things I pointed out, they both have a snare and kick drum, which is pretty common in pop rock music. With the beats here, the kick and the snare pattern I think might be a little closer. So I'm going to try to line up these two songs. I'm going to try to line up the beat patterns, even though the tempos are slightly different. So the kick snare pattern in this Boys of Summer, it's got a gun gun gun, kick snare. I think that's kind of a kick snare. So that is a repeated pattern. Right here, kick snare, kick snare. Okay, so, and then I don't think Love is a Battlefield does that. If I can pull it up, try to match up the two parts here. So snare on Love is a Battlefield, it's got snare, kick, and then there's a space, and then back to the snare again. So snare, kick, snare. Okay, so it's snare, kick, snare. So the two kick drums are not before the snare, whereas Boys of Summer, it's pretty much repeatedly got this pattern: kick, snare, kick, snare. So definitely that's a huge component of the two songs. That's quite a bit different, in my opinion. I don't think Boys of Summer stole the Linndrum pattern from Love is a Battlefield. I do think they're different enough to where they make their own songs, and that's probably why I never thought they were like clone copies of each other, at least rhythm-wise, way back in the day. But I had to investigate it to make sure. So after looking at all the evidence, I feel that these two songs and even their drum beats aren't as close as Neil claims that they are. When I first saw the Instagram clip of him saying that the beats were the same, I ran it over in my head the best I could remember, and I realized that he might have had a pretty good case. But upon closer examination, I feel the drums on both are different enough. The idea for Boys of Summer initially came from Mike Campbell, the guitarist for Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. He came up with his demo for the Boys of Summer after experimenting with a Linndrum and an Oberheim OBX synthesizer. He showed the idea to Tom Petty, but Petty felt it didn't really fit with the record they were working on at the time, which happened to be Southern Accents. At the suggestion of producer Jimmy Iovine, Campbell wound up playing the demo for Don Henley, who wound up adding lyrics and then recorded the vocal for the song. So even if Don Henley or Mike Campbell had the idea to steal the beat from the Linndrum programming from Love is a Battlefield, I feel it was modified enough and or cleverly disguised well enough, so whether that beat was actually taken from Love is a Battlefield and repurposed, only those guys will really know. So even if Neil Giraldo claims in that Instagram clip that someone said they were going to steal the beat, I don't really feel there's evidence for that. Anyways, I appreciate you guys checking out this video, and as the Mythbusters sometimes used to say, myth busted. Okay, we'll see you on the next video.